piece of business we need to get out of the way is just a release form.
Sure.
Which basically gives us permission to shoot you.
To do this, to shoot you.
To shoot you.
To shoot you.
Yeah, I know, that word
And today is
never quite-
10:31.
10:30.
30, yeah.
I'm already rolling here.
Okay. So then, Joanne, when you're finished, if you would just hold it up and let us
Film
a
it.
couple of seconds of your release. You and your
I can
release.
get that.
Wait, did you
Oh,
get it?
holding
Yeah,
this up.
it
Okay.
doesn't matter. Yeah,
Okay.
since
Did you
we
get
already-
it? No? We're good?
Here we go,
got
dear.
it already in signature
you.
there,
Okay.
so-
Okay, so the first thing we'll do is just some more business.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about, your name, address, the date.
Today's date, Joanne Cole, C-O-L-E, Joanne. My address is 420 Hill Street, Boulder, 80302. Today is Saturday, October 30th, 2010.
Great. How long have you lived here?
We've been in this house, I think this October will be 12 years. I've been in Boulder County since 1983-ish. No. Been in Colorado since 83. I met my husband. Yeah, it's loosely knit. We've been married for, because I'm not very good with numbers. We've been married for 23 years. It'll be 24 years in August. Before we lived here in Gold Hill, we lived down below, a mile down below in 4 Mile Canyon, in a little bend in the road called Somerville.
Okay. And how did Somerville fare in the fire, do you know?
I do know, not well.
Yeah. It's a good thing you were up here.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm thrilled to be in Gold Hill,
Good,
suffice to say.
good. Have you ever been through a fire or an evacuation?
I have. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and I never really saw a fire in Chicago. I grew up very suburban, North Shore, Skokie, Illinois, and there was a huge fire when I was a kid. It was a lumber yard that burned, and it was, easy 10 miles, 12 miles away from my home. I mean, at least but it was the excitement. I remember it was huge. I don't think we ever saw flames. I don't think I ever saw a fire truck, but I knew it was a huge event, and I was young. So then I moved to Colorado, and I lived here with my husband, and I had been living with him. We had been married, I would say about 3 or 4 years, maybe, when I saw my first fire, and it was the Sugarloaf Fire. And my recollection is there were 2 Sugarloaf fires. There was one kind of unnamed, and then there was we just called it the Sugarloaf Fire, and then there was the Black Tiger Fire. And I remember the first one, and they may be one and the same, so bear with me. You'll edit that out if that's the case. But my husband and I were fishing. I'm a big fisherman, and we were about 20 miles, at least 20 miles north, as the crow flies, over by Allen's Park fishing. And I was in the water, fly fishing, and all of a sudden, this kind of orange glow occurred, and it was as if somebody had put gasoline on the water. I mean, it was unearthly. I'd never seen anything like that. And certainly, as a city slicker, I'd never seen that orange glow that occurs with a fire. And my husband was building a house right there where we were fishing, and he thought the fire was just beyond the ridge. And so he wanted to rush to get home, to get some hoses so that we could run back to this house and he could start watering down the house. So we got on the peak to peak and started heading south back towards our place in Somerville, which is where I was living at the time. And as we were on that peak to peak, it was clear that the fire was not right beyond us, but it looked like it was Ward. And then when we got to Ward, we realized that Ward was unaffected. And so then we thought it was Gold Hill. And then when we got to Gold Hill was unaffected. And then we could see as we were coming that it was Sugarloaf. So we got home. And rather than, because of the proximity to Somerville, Sugarloaf was only, 6, 7, 8 miles again as the crow flies. We hunkered down, and we had just been married. We had been married for a year or so, and we had all this gorgeous stuff. We had, beautiful glasses that people had given us, china glasses, and there was this old mine hole right on our property there. And this is the difference about that fire, and, well, there's many ways that you can get out during a fire, but we had plenty of time on this one. And what we would do is we would go drive around to the best vantage and watch the fire. And then as it creeped down, I'd say, God, let's go. I want to go pack up some more stuff. And I was putting all these glasses and photos and plates and God knows what. I can't remember. But I remember moving a lot of stuff into this mine hole because I thought the fire would just rush over it, suck out the air, and all the stuff would be fine. And I was a little agitated, I remember, because I had never seen a fire before. And my husband had fought fires here. And I kept saying, like, when do we go? You know, I had heard the story, the woman who owned the town where we lived, her name was Elsie Trask. And there was a story of Elsie in the 70s who would not leave her home during a fire. And the story goes, the legend goes, and fires create many legends, was that the police bodily picked her up. She was an elderly woman. And put her in the car and took her down to town, and she hitchhiked back up. So I didn't need to be like Elsie Trask heroic, but I also didn't know, when do we go? I mean, I'm seeing flames, right? But they're quite a ways away. I said, do we wait till we see the whites of the eyes of the firemen? You know, is that when we go? And, you know, luckily for me in that fire, it never came and threatened our home. And there was a lot of homes lost in that fire, though. That was the biggest fire, I think, that Boulder County had seen to date. So, okay, fast forward to the 4 Mile fire. What did I take?
Let me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just take a break here.
Yeah.
And ask Alex how it's going.
It's going good.
Okay.
Actually,
Well,
you know
one
what?
thing-
Let me move
Marion.
the microphone a little bit because it's rubbing sometimes a little bit.
You said, have you been in another fire? And she said, I have.
I think we're okay, because
Okay.
these are kind of my warm-up questions.
Okay, all right. I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to point that out.
I don't know if you keep, you know.
Yeah, hearing the click.
I'm doing that?
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, put it down, darling.
How's the angle of her looking at me?
I think it looks beautiful. Do you want to take a look? There we go. Hold on.
Oh, that's nice.
And you
Yeah.
can hear the clicking. Oh, I apologize.
And,
That's all right.
and this is the tight one. I was mostly like this in the other one.
Looks pretty. What about her glasses? We're getting a lot of light in her glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Can
We're
you
getting that.
just put them forward a little bit? Does that help?
Come on, Kiki.
Yeah, we can see her eyes. at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
We should try that actually. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
You take a boy.
Okay, I'm ready now.
Okay. You rolling?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, again, you want to incorporate the question into
All
the
right.
answer. And my first question is about the evacuation. How, and I'm not sure, because I know some people didn't get the reverse 911 call. Did you get it?
No.
No. So you didn't get
I did not get the reverse 911 evacuation call.
So
If I did, I didn't pay attention to it because the phone was ringing off the hook. Yeah, anyways,
So how did you know when it was time to go?
how did I know when it was time to go is when I saw the flames over the hillside right there. And but I stayed much later than was advised. But I knew I always had a way out. And I felt that I was, for the most part, contributing to the work that needed to be done, taking down trees, pulling things away from the houses. But at the very last minute, I had the little doggy here, little Roy, in the car. He had been in the car since 11 a.m. And luckily for me, because of the occlusion of the sun, it was a hot day, but because of the smoke, he just innately, it was a good thing for him. He just laid down and slept in that car until I took him down at 5:30. But at 5:30, I felt I was no longer an asset to the community or my husband or the people that were still here working the fire. So I left.
And where did you go?
I went down to the bottom of Lick Skillet, which was our safe way out, and I waited there until 8:30.
And what happened after 8:30?
It got dark, and I wasn't prepared. I was a liability because I didn't have emergency clothing on, and I actually kind of got wrangled into, turn cars around, because truly, Oh, the phone works again. Can I get up? Oh, no, shall we just let it ring, or what do you want to do?
You can pause for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's any-
Okay, I won't.
Do we,
Would you just
we
be a
turn it
dear and
off?
just go, yeah, I
is
don't
there a
know,
way to turn it
I
off?
don't know.
Okay,
Hold on,
so,
Question was,
Robert.
oh yeah, why did I leave at 8:30 p.m.? So yeah, I got wrangled into kind of helping, which was great. But a real experience in the fire, you see that the best laid plans. It's like, and afterwards, this was made clear to me, the fog of war, where you think you have everything together, and the whole thing goes to hell in a handbasket when the shit hits the fan. And so that's certainly what happens in fire. Although, to the credit of everyone, from top to the very bottom, everyone did the best they could. And the amazing thing, given the scope of this fire, that no one was hurt is just amazing, just amazing. So, anyways, I got wrangled into kind of turning people around, blah blah blah, and then, but it was clear that I should not stay past dark because I did not have emergency clothing on, and rather than become a liability, somebody hit me there in the dark, and be, that would be stupid. So at dark I left.
thank you. Let's see. So Roy was in the car.
Roy was in the car, first and foremost, put the dog in the car.
Okay.
That's the first thing I did.
What else did you do?
Well, my husband said, Joe, pack a bag. So we looked out here at 10:30 and we saw that smoke, and and I had my flip-flops on because we were going to have a party. It was Labor Day. I had kids coming up who had never been to Gold Hill. I had made food, huge party down at the inn. Our dear friend Chaz was here with his bandmates from New Orleans. It was a big day. It's a big day. And as a matter of fact, my husband and Chaz, we just cooked breakfast for the band. And my husband breaks out this rum. And my husband's not a drinking man, certainly not at 9:30 in the morning. But because it was such a special occasion, they did a little shot of rum. Because Chaz likes rum, I guess. Anywho, then the next thing you know, look out there, and holy shit, here's this just giant freaking fire. And yeah, oh my God, oh my God. And I had these flip-flops on. And the first thing I did was put my shoes and socks on. Put my, shoes that I fish in or shoes that I can move in, and socks. And then about 20 minutes later, my husband said, you better pack a bag. And so I did, which I have a travel bag always packed for myself because we live in the mountains and I sleep around at people's houses or whatever. I always have a little travel bag that's got my shower stuff in it and underwear and socks. So, but the upstart of that, so I threw some stuff in there. What I did throw in there was only underwear and socks. And it wasn't until the next day that I realized I had no shirt or pants to wear. But anyways, that's another story. So that's what I did. And then we just started running around. And then the phone started ringing. And this is, the time lapse, of course, it all rolls into one because it's this huge adrenaline rush. But these kids, kept calling, should I come? Don't come up. And my friends in Denver, Joe, what's going on? Don't, I got to go. I'm going, go. So I had the phone in my pocket. I did get one call from a young friend who was going to come up, and he's lives down in Lee Hill. And he said, Joe, what's going on? I want to come up and help. And I said, do you have a chainsaw? And he said, yes. And I said, bring it. So they called me back 10 minutes later. He goes, does Dick have any gas? And I said, bring your own goddamn gas. Click. So his name is Josh, and he came up and he worked this entire fire with us. And he is also from Chicago, and he's the son of dear friends of mine. And this was his first fire. And I mean, this, as you'll hear, this was a scary fire. I mean, this was a huge fire. And he was cold-blooded. He was not, he never looked, the words I'm trying to describe, he never stopped working. And he wasn't frightened, which is amazing, because it was a frightening fire.
So you had your bag packed.
Had my bag packed, and then, so this is all in the morning.
Okay. So anything else?
Well, at that point, no.
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself, here, I better pack what I want, because this is a huge freaking fire. And at that point, I was about 50-50. Truly, I was about 30% thinking I'm going to lose my house because of the way the wind was blowing. But I'm just going to fast forward now till about 3 o'clock. About 2 o'clock is when I started thinking I better take what I want. And so here's what I took. Can I get it for you to show it to you? No, I can't. Can you
Yeah,
pass it to me right there? It's that little pile right there. Okay. So I'm a dog fan, so I took these 2 books by my favorite author, Albert Pace and Terhune. These are first edition copies. I have every one of his books, but I grabbed these 2. I grabbed a picture of my mother and father that I have, as you can see, I have pictures and crap everywhere. So for me, this was a decision. I took this picture of my mother and father. And right next to them, their wedding. They've been divorced. My father died 2 years ago. They've been divorced since I was 16. This was right next to the picture. This was a beautiful little thing that my husband's cousin from England made for us when we got married. I also grabbed our wedding album because that's been my most cherished thing since we've gotten married. I don't know why, it's crazy. But we had a lovely time at our wedding, and I love this wedding album, and it's full of pictures. So, of course, I took the wedding album. But the other thing I took, if you look over this way, is I collect collie figurines. And there's one of those collies there that I'd like to show you, and I will, that I've had since I was 5 years old. And you know, I left home when I was 17 years old. When I went to, I moved away, and I took all my Albert Pace and Terhune books, and I took that collie with me when I left. This picture of my mother has come later. So these things are really, really dear to me. And one of the stories about that little collie figurine is I was putting this stuff in the car. My other neighbors came from Ward, and this was early on, and they said, so yeah, it was about 11 o'clock, maybe 11:30. They said, Joe, can we help you? And I was like, no, you know, unless you got a chainsaw. They were helping other neighbors. And later that evening, I saw her as I evacuated, and she said, I wish I had a picture of you clutching that statuette, because, you know, the look of terror and horror and, you know, confusion on your face, but you've got this little collie. So that's what I took.
It's a really sweet story.
I didn't take anything of my husband's, not a goddamn thing, because he was on his own, of course. But I'm just saying, and my quilts, I'm, you know, nothing. I said goodbye. You know, when I left here, I said goodbye to all of it, and I was it was going to be a cleansing, you know. And this is really, you know, something, a dynamic that I think you should look at in this film, because those folks that lost everything, that's a cleansing that they didn't ask for, you know. So. And it's painful. It's really extremely traumatic, as you can imagine, to lose everything. I mean, when people lose a dog, you know, I used to be in the veterinary profession. When you put a dog to sleep or you have a dog that dies, you have something that's called phantom sensation, where for time period, whatever it is, you get into your car and you think the dog is in the back of the car. Or you come home, or out of the corner of your eye you see that dog, and that's, well, try to imagine that with every possession that you have. And that's amazing. Besides the just complete and utter horror, God forbid, you lose a pet in the fire, where there actually is loss of life, or even, God forbid, worse, there's human loss of life. That shirt, that letter, everything, that pen, that pot, that recipe, everything is gone. And that happened to so many people in this fire. Good friends of mine. You know, so there's the opposite side of that is, what little trinket are you going to take with you when you go? You know, do you have the time to think about it? You know, these people that lost everything, truly, they had absolutely no time. It was their lives, you know, really. So after I was sitting here watching the fire, and I was like, God, I should take more stuff. I should take more crap, you know, but where would I start? Well, so I went the complete opposite way, to bare bones, minimal nothing. Well, you know, sentimental things for me.
So not even anything when you got in the car and were ready to go?
Oh, I had this...
You didn't say, oh, wait, I forgot about this.
Oh, yeah, no. I had this tremendous pang of, my God, I just left everything. So...
Wait, can you say when I got in the car?
Yeah, when I got in the car, I had this tremendous pang of, I left everything. Yeah, really, I did. But it was, like I say, it was either you're on the bus or you're off the bus. Because really, truly, the reality is, you can't take everything. I was just watching TV last night because we have another fire burning right now, and these people in town and these with children trying to pack up a minivan. Are you kidding me? Like, what do you think you're taking? It's all or nothing. Your computer, you know, has become key. Your photo albums, I see as a consistent theme with people to try to have something. If you have the luxury of time, your important papers. I heard somebody say they took their passport. I never would. My passport's in that drawer. It would have burned up in the house. But that's so you can take that vacation of a lifetime when you're free from all your bodily possessions. That's something I never thought of.
Yeah, great. Yeah, a lot of people got a cleansing that they weren't asking for, and it was pretty painful.
Yeah, it's
it is
a
cleansing.
cleansing is a euphemism, though. See, it's
No, I know
yeah,
what
yeah.
you're talking about.
The other kind of neat thing was, as we were scrambling here, I said to my neighbor, because I've been wanting to move to New Orleans, I've been trying to talk my husband into splitting our time, anyways, between Gold Hill and New Orleans. And I said to my neighbor, New Orleans is looking pretty good right about now. And he said, yeah, so is Key West, because he has a place in Key West. So those of us that are lucky enough to, be free to have some freedom, Well, that's another quote, cleansing, where. But I'm telling you, having talked to people who've lost everything, you really have to seek a positive. You really have to look deep to find any positive outcome from everything like that. Yeah.
Okay. So you've pretty much talked about how you decided what to take.
Mm-hmm.
These things. So, are we rolling? You ready? Okay. You were here with your husband. Was there any discussion about what
No.
you two should take?
I was here with
He
my
said pack a
husband.
bag.
There was no discussion. The only discussion that my husband and I had with regards to the fire and our ultimate whatever, he said, let's meet at my sister-in-law. If we get separated, let's meet at my sister-in-law's house.
But there was no discussion about
No.
what to take.
No, and I found out afterwards that as my husband stayed much later than I did, and he actually packed up my father's inheritance to me, which is my father left me these really beautiful pieces of Oriental sculpture. That was his passion, and I never even thought about that, but Dick had that in the car when he left. So that's what he took. So, because my husband is an extremely thoughtful man, and probably didn't take anything of his own, but took these pieces of art.
Are they around?
They're still here.
Okay. We'll be able to look at those.
Oh, no, they're packed away. You don't want to look at those. I don't ever take them out. I mean, they're just packed in a big, I don't have them on display.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. In retrospect, once you got down the hill, was there anything you thought,
That I needed?
yeah,
No.
okay.
There was
Right.
when I got down the hill, and that night, and the next morning, did I have any thoughts about what I needed? No, other than the fact that I didn't put any pants or shirts in my bag. And when I got to work the following morning, I kept smelling smoke. And I'm like, that's my friend Kathy, you better get that. I'm like, where the hell is that smoke coming from? Oh my God, it's my clothes. So, yeah, let's pause it because I got to talk to this lady. Yeah. So, so yeah, I needed clothes. And my work associates, of course, were right there with clothes for me. So that's all I needed. I took a couple magazines to read that are usually always in my travel bag anyways, should I get stuck and bored. So no, I didn't, I never gave any of it a thought until you actually contacted me about this, and then I started thinking. Although I tell you, there was that moment in the car where I said, oh my God, I'm not taking anything, really, except these 6 items, And
what does the oh my God mean?
Well, the oh my God means I'm 54 years old today, and I'm an artist, for better for worse, a naive artist, and I collect things, and these things are dear to me. I wouldn't call myself a hoarder, but I'm pretty surrounded by crap, and all that stuff that I love is gone. So it's no different, though, I think, than anyone who has a suburban clean life, and perhaps their clothes were important to them, and they lost all their clothes. Well, for me, the clothes are not important, but I've collected art from friends and people that I love, and all that would be gone. All that shit would be gone. So, yeah, that's the stuff.
So would you do it any differently next time?
No. I would not do it differently next time. Well, I don't think so. And hopefully there won't be a next time.
That's the hope, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you were getting ready to leave, what was your mood like?
Oh, it's hysteria. It's adrenaline. When you're faced with a fire like that and you're preparing, you're working, which is what we were doing here. The adrenaline is just pumping. So it's borderline hysteria for me, because I'm not a calm person, and I don't think very much. But my husband, God love him, is an Eagle Scout, and has seen these fires before, and so he was shouting, I need, lock the windows, start watering down the house, telling me things to do. And my neighbors, we were all out in the field here. We were all out back here working. So once they turned the power off, which they turned the power off rather early here at 2 p.m., we could no longer water our houses. And so then my neighbors on this side, we started cutting down trees and hauling trees, and then we started cutting the grass at the very last minute, thinking that would make a difference. Didn't make much of a difference. But what we did do, I think that did make a difference, collectively, all of us, was pull everything we could away from the houses, because everything burned.
Great. Did anything about the evacuation surprise you in terms of like what you took, what you didn't took?
No, I'll tell you,
what your mood was like?
the question is, did anything about the evacuation surprise me? No, because this is a rural region, and I'll tell you, the fact that the cops were even up here surprised me. I guess that surprised me. There was a sheriff with a loudspeaker recording saying, this is at about 2 o'clock, this is a mandatory evacuation, please leave your home. Well, we were so engrossed in working at the house here that was like, yeah, okay, now you get your butt down the hill there somewhere where you could be serving us a little bit better, because here we know we are being served by our fire department. And I don't mean to be like an anarchist or anything, but the Boulder County Sheriff's Department very seldom comes up here for any reason. And I know this was a big reason, and obviously I understand that the Sheriff's Department was in control. But it was really secondary to what was really happening in regards to saving our homes and working collectively with my neighbors. There was something else I wanted to say about the Sheriff's Department. No, I'll tell you, oh yes, here's what I did learn about this fire. And I keep saying it over and over again. Here's what I learned about this fire. That initially, 50% of what's happening is communication. And of that 50% of communication, 30% of it's erroneous. It's truly every man's running for themselves. And I think if you talk to any firefighters, they'll tell you how critical this is. But for the average Joe, just in my day of, up here it was safe. I only listened to my husband, kind of thing. But when you get down there and you've got animal control people acting as sheriff department people, because it's every man on deck. And just now in this most recent fire, the suffice to say, the communication is difficult, and it's key, of course. And again, the fact that nobody lost their life in this thing is amazing. Yeah, that's it about communication.
Okay. Is there anything about the evacuation and what you took that you wanted to add?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Just that I can't impress upon you again, and I hope you do get to interview some people who didn't have the luxury of time. Because that's the luxury of time creates the problem of decision. You know, because then you got to really think, what do I want? What do I need? What do I love? You know, because I think those are the things, and that's really hard for some. So I couldn't make that decision on the second one. Well, I guess I did in my little books, but it was so minimal that it was a statement in itself for me. This is the only thing I'm going to take. I'm going to leave the rest of my life there.
That is a very poignant statement. Thank you.